Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Three, which is about identity, emotion, and expression, and working these things together. We're talking about the sun, the moon, and the rising or the ascendant in a natal chart. We're talking about why two people with the same sun sign can feel like completely different human beings. I'm going to start out with a quote like I like to do, and this is Astrology paints a portrait of the individual. This is from Stephen Forrest from the book Inner Sky, which is a great book I recommend you read. This is three layers, one person. Your natal chart is a layered portrait of your soul, of who you are. There's your sun sign, which is your core self, your ego. It describes the qualities that you embody to feel fully yourself. And then you have the moon sign, which is how you feel, how you heal and nurture. It's your emotional instincts and your inner world, how you process feelings, what makes you feel safe, or and how you instinctively care for others. And then you have the rising sign, the third layer, how the world sees you, how you show up to the world. Your ascendant is the sign that is rising on the eastern horizon at your birth. So um, in it's the beginning of the first house. That's the cusp of the first house. It shapes your physical presence, your first impression that you give to people, and the lens through which the entire chart is filtered. All right, so let's get into it. What I want to do is just show specific examples of how the different factors can play into a personality. I think that's the best way to really show you what it means to have the sun, moon, and rising. So I'm starting out with the Scorpio sun. And as I go through these examples, I want you to know that it would take a long time for me to get through an example of every combination that there is. And so I've just picked out certain ones, and I'm going to flesh those out for you. And I'll give you a handout when I send out the recording, and you can kind of go through then and look for different combinations and figure out how that might play out for yourself. So we're going to start with Scorpio Sun. We have the same core with Scorpio Sun, completely different front door, completely different rising sign. So to begin, Scorpio Sun, Scorpio rising. They walk into a room and people know they're there. They feel them before they say a word because how they show up is the same as their core self, Scorpio, Scorpio, double Scorpio. So they're magnetic, but they're also guarded, and it's hard to read them. But that mask matches the soul. They are deep all the way through. There's an intensity, there's a hidden power. It's how people see them and how they really are. They build relationships slowly, they give trust just as slowly. And so these power and control themes are both their identity, their ego, their self, and how they present their appearance. So let's switch that up. What would that look like with a Scorpio sun and Sagittarius rising? Well, different flavor. They come across with that Sagittarius rising as being very open and being enthusiastic and adventurous. So when someone meets a Scorpio sun, Sagittarius rising, they think they're getting this open, optimistic Sagittarius person, this free spirit. And then once they get to know the person, they realize, okay, yeah, they are that way, but I don't really know a lot about them beyond that because they've got that friendly front door. And then you open that door, walk into the house, and there's another door and it's locked. You got to get past that. So you immediately sense their directness, their humor, but it deflects from going any deeper and probing. So that Scorpio depth is there. It's just hidden behind a bigger smile. All right, we're going to stick with Scorpio for a bit and look at other rising signs. As I said, it's not every sign that I'm going through. I'm giving examples, and you can do the rest of that work on your own for practice. So, same sun, Scorpio sun, Aries rising. Aries is assertive, fast moving, and they're also intense, but it's so it might that you come across a little more driven or impatient uh, than uh, than that Scorpio underneath, that Scorpio sun. And so what you get when you have Scorpio sun and Aries rising is people immediately sense that warrior. They don't necessarily sense that there's that person with some secrets that they might not share till you really get to know them underneath. So what about Scorpio sun, Leo rising? Well, that's different. You walk into a room and you meet that Scorpio sun, Leo rising, and they come across very confident and very warm. The Scorpio is commanding the room. Now you always sense the Scorpio, but this is a more commanding presence. The power is more visible with that Leo rising, less hidden. So others are drawn in by that charisma of a Leo before they sense that depth that's underneath. Scorpio sun, Taurus rising walks into a room and people feel their grounded, calm presence because Scorpio, again, the self is hidden, that sun is hidden behind the rising sign. So people feel a solidity with Taurus that's comforting until they start to push too hard, and then maybe that Scorpio sun comes out. Aquarius rising with Scorpio sun would present a more intellectual, detached, a little different persona. And the emotional intensity of the Scorpio is hiding behind that Aquarius cool logic. So people think, oh, they're very cerebral, maybe some eccentric. And then when they get to know this person, then they're kind of surprised by that passionate Scorpio underneath. Then there's Scorpio Cancer rising. Well, that's a very different feeling, both very empathic, both feeling a lot, but the Cancer rising presents as a more soft, emotionally accessible surface, an approachable person. It's probably the most approachable rising sign with a Scorpio sun, and people feel comfortable there. So they might overshare early, but with that Scorpio sun underneath, you're probably not going to get that same sharing back until they know you very well. All right, so Scorpio sun and Pisces rising is dreamy, it's empathic, hard to pin down. So you've got two water signs there, like you did with Cancer, but it's a totally different feeling. It's very layered. It's two different kinds of water, two different kinds. So this person with a Pisces rising might walk into a room and just kind of blend in, dissolve into the environment. So it's a depth and it's felt very deeply, but again, they're not going to articulate it. They're just feeling it. Like a Scorpio, they're not going to share it as much, but it is a very different impression that they give from a Scorpio. All right, let's continue with Scorpio, do Scorpio sun, and move into that moon sign, which is your emotional interior, how your emotions move through your body, how your emotions are expressed, how people see you. Actually, this isn't how they see you, it's how you express your emotions. So Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, that person is going to process emotions underneath the surface, underground. You're not necessarily going to see it when they're doing a lot of emotional processing because whatever changes they need to make, it's going to happen behind the scenes. In silence. They're not going to want to talk through those feelings with you. They're going to need to feel it, experience, and figure out what that means and what transformation means for them. So that person would nurture by showing up in a crisis, by showing you, being present for you, and offering protection for you rather than they're not the person that's going to say, I love you every day. They're going to just be there when you need them. And when they finally do open up, um, it's going to carry a very full weight of everything that they haven't said. They will let you see it all. Healing for Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon is deep. It's very slow, but when they're done, they have made the change that needed to change, and it's very complete. All right, so Scorpio sun and Gemini moon. Gemini, duality, air sign wants to talk through their feelings, processing what has happened. They want to talk about it. They want to tell their story. And so a Gemini moon for a Scorpio sun would be that ventilation system. Scorpio has a very deep well. Gemini moon wants to vent, wants to get it out in the air. They want to reframe whatever's going on in order to integrate it and metabolize it for themselves. So for them to nurture someone else, they would want to talk with you. They would, check in, text you. They want to keep that connection alive. And the feelings they feel lighter because they're spoken. But they also might just appear fine, but underneath, they're probably still processing something very deep and profound, and you don't get to see that part. All right, so let's try it with other moons. Scorpio sun, Aries moon, active. They want to move. They're processing their emotion that way through action. So they might anger quickly, clear fast. Nurturing for them would look like helping, doing for you, fixing your problem, showing up with solutions. They don't want to be still. That hurts. A Scorpio sun or Virgo moon would want to process emotions through analyzing it and through problem solving for cataloging their feelings and examining it and examining it. And then if they've examined them enough, then maybe filing it away. So when they nurture or take care of someone else, they're going to offer you practicality details. So anxiety for a Virgo moon with Scorpio sun might signal that they have some feelings that are unprocessed underneath that surface. Okay, Scorpio sun, Taurus moon. They want that physical comfort and that sensory, touchy-feely grounding to feel safe. So they might be slower to react emotionally, definitely slower to release, and to nurture others. They would probably choose bringing you a comfort dish or coming over and just sitting with you and watching a TV program or some kind of material stability, bringing you a special blanket, something warm and sensuous, deeply loyal. Scorpio sun, Libra moon, Libra, they need that harmony, they need that balance to feel emotionally grounded. So they're going to want to process through conversation and through really thinking about and remembering with someone that they trust, and they nurture by offering a peaceful place um, with harmony and beauty. Scorpio Sun, Cancer Moon, double water, and this person feels everything and rarely stops feeling. Double water, and they nurture. The Cancer nurturer is it absorbs other people's pain, and they need a safe container in which they can express their emotion, where they can cry. So home and family are the emotional center of the universe for a Scorpio Sun with a Cancer moon. So a different take would be Scorpio Sun and a Capricorn moon. And so, a Capricorn, they're going to control their emotions more. And their feelings are kind of underground, like a Scorpio. But they're down there managing it and not expressing it because they don't want to ask for help. So their nurturing style would be to be responsible, provide for someone else, and show their love by just showing up, being reliable every time. All right, let's go to rising signs. Starting, we'll switch over to a Leo sun. So again, the same core energy of Leo with the different rising signs, a different first impression. So Leo sun with a Leo rising. What does that look like? Double fire signs. They walk in and they own the room. They're expressive. You can't ignore them. You know they're there. Their ego is front and center. It's how they present and it's who they really are. So people can either feel really lit up by this person or just feel like they're in their shadow. Now, that Leo generosity is real, it's genuine, but so is that Leo need to be recognized, to be seen. That's equally real for Leo Sun and Leo Rising. So they are coming across exactly as they are. What you see is what you get. The sun, the mask, the way they present are full on Leo, and they're fully themselves. So let's switch that up and go to a Leo Sun and Capricorn rising. Okay, well, that Capricorn rising, they're going to look like they're going to come across more reserved and composed, more quiet but authoritative when you first meet them. People might sense that ambition before they sense that Leo sun and that warmth. So Leo heart is present, but it's hiding, it's buttoned up behind a suit and a tie. So it takes longer for Leo to express the humor, that playfulness that Leo has. So at first, when you meet a Leo Sun Capricorn rising, you might think they're a little cold at first because that Capricorn armor is up. But once they remove that, then that Leo Sun shines through and carries that weight of that earned credibility through the Capricorn rising sign. All right, let's look at Leo sun with different moon signs. Same drive of Leos, completely different emotional world. So Leo sun, Scorpio moon, what would that look like? Fire, water, fire on the surface, water underneath, emotionally intense. So this is a Leo sun that needs to be seen, a Scorpio moon that really needs to be known. Very different needs, very different hungers. Processes the emotion privately because it's a Scorpio moon, and that Leo sun is never really showing you what's going on beneath their performance is not going to show you that wound underneath. They nurture by being fiercely protective and going to battle for the people that they love. That's the emotion of Scorpio and the fire of the Leo. With that, on the other end of the spectrum, jealousy and pride could surface when that Leo moon is not feeling seen and heard. So when hurt, a Scorpio moon is going to withdraw, and that Leo sun is just going to let it, and it's not going to perform any of that pain. You're not going to see it. All right, so how about Leo sun with an Aquarius moon? The Leo wants to shine, but that Aquarius moon needs that freedom from expectations. Aquarius moon detaches. It observes its feeling from up here, from a broader view, up from a high, from a distance. And it nurtures through ideas and inclusion and being there and advocating for someone else. So they may seem emotionally cool for a Leo sun, even though Leo sun craves that being seen and that admiration, they might just seem a little more cool, but they process their emotions through an intellectual lens rather than expressing it outwardly. So, I just thought of an example for that. So this would be a person who is full on sun themselves, but their emotions, like this might be a person that to process an emotion, a heavy emotion like grief, instead of sharing about it, they might read a book about how to do it and see if that will help them. All right, so Gemini sun, Gemini rising. Okay, we're going to use Gemini now. What would that look like? Double Gemini, all Gemini, witty, curious, walk into a room and it comes alive. They talk to everyone, they remember everyone's name, they connect, whose family, who knows who. This is a great person to have at a party. They might seem a little scattered, but no, they're tracking everything. They've seen what's going on over here or there, and they're asking questions about it. So people will be entertained by them. But they also might wonder really what's going on up there. But they have a quick mind and a personality and the presentation with that rising sign. So they're very perceptive, very socially agile. They rarely show you that still center that they have. Again, I think that'd be a great person for a party. All right, Gemini sun and Virgo rising, they're going to come across a little more quiet, more measured. Their Gemini spark is still there. They're still curious, but they're filtering it a little more carefully, a little more precisely. So, what people see first is that Virgo rising, that intelligence and attention to detail before the Gemini playfulness comes out. So, it's going to be less flashy than a double Gemini, but maybe trust it a little more on that first impression. So Virgo rising would probably slow that Gemini chattering and be more precise and methodical about it. They could be easily underestimated because Gemini, they like to know what's going on, and then they realize that when they get to know them. All right, so what about a moon sign with a Gemini sun? How about we start with a Gemini sun and a Pisces moon? So very porous, very emotional with that Pisces moon and empathic with that Gemini combination. So, when a Gemini sun walks in, yeah, they want to go and get to know everyone and ask questions. When the Pisces moon, though, they're going to feel everything when they walk into that room before they can process what they're actually feeling when they walk into the room. So they're going to need some creative outlets in order to work through some of that emotional overwhelm that they'll feel. And they will tend to nurture through listening, through stories, through being with who they love and holding space with them, with the depth of that watery Pisces moon. So, with a Gemini sun and a Pisces moon, that chatter can be a shield for the Pisces moon. And so, underneath that Gemini person, that Gemini sun, they have a very tender interior. They feel so much. And so, in a relationship, they can tend to dissolve into it. And this is a combination that needs some very strong boundaries, some strong energetic boundaries. All right, let's look at a different angle. Gemini sun, Capricorn moon. So a Capricorn moon can emotionally control what's going on underneath, and they're more self-sufficient. They're at ease socially, but they're going to process their emotions more through work and movement and structure. So they're self-reliant and they rarely ask for help. So a Capricorn moon would see that as a weakness, probably. But they will nurture through that Capricorn stability, through reliability for showing up when you need them. So Gemini adaptability and duality pairs really well with that Capricorn long-term focus. They take time to trust. Once they do, you're in, and they are loyal. All right. Let's use some rising sign examples, starting with Pisces sun. Pisces sun, Pisces rising, double Pisces. So they're showing up into that room, into that party, and oh my gosh, feeling everything. And they just want to get in the background and stand back and kind of dissolve into it. So they might appear to have like they've got one foot in this world and one foot in another world, like they're living kind of in another dimension from other people. They may have a tendency to shift with whoever they're with, but this is a deeply, deeply empathic combination. Also hard to reach combination because this is water on water, and they're just part of them is somewhere else. You can, I think the downside is that people can project onto them, and it almost, that rising sun almost invites that. But this is a very, very spiritually attuned combination, but easily overwhelmed. All right, so how about Pisces sun with Aries rising? That action-oriented Aries is actually a pretty good combination because it's decisive on the surface. People sense that they have a directness. They sense that confidence before they feel how sensitive you are underneath. So that Aries kind of gives them that action, that Aries water, the Aries fire and that Pisces water. Pisces sun gives them vision, and the Aries sun gets that moving. So they appear, when you first meet them, to be a little more assertive than they might feel inside. It's almost like a fake it until you make it kind of thing. Quick to act on intuition, though, that's a really good, strong feature of a Pisces sun, Aries rising, or it can be. Sometimes even before the feeling is processed, though, but they can dream big, they can move fast. It's a powerful combination. All right, how about a Pisces sun with a couple of different moon signs? So Pisces sun, Scorpio moon, two water signs, different types of water, one really deep water. So this person is, everything they do is almost entirely invisible. They process in silence and deeply, and it takes a long time. They feel everything, almost an unbearable intensity. So, but you're rarely going to see that because they're processing deep and underneath. So, how do they nurture someone else? When someone else is in a dark space, they're with them, they're supporting them, they're present with them. That's how a Scorpio moon, Pisces sun would nurture. For them, grief is a long process. But when they finally do work through it all, it's very profound. And when they really love, they love totally. They're the most psychically sensitive and most emotionally self-contained combination, that Pisces sun and Scorpio moon. All right, let's switch it up though. How about Pisces sun and Gemini moon? Well, that Gemini moon, they want to talk about it and write their way through that Pisces emotional sun terrain. So Gemini gives Pisces a depth with language and with their voice. So they're going to process with their journaling, through talking through things, through storytelling. They're going to nurture people that way too, with their words, with checking in and keeping connected with someone. They can kind of intellectualize how they're feeling a little bit as a way to manage that Pisces depth. So this is someone who could be a gifted poet or a writer, because they're processing their emotions in a Gemini way with language. All right, let's try some other combinations. We'll start with Capricorn sun and rising signs. So how about double Capricorn, Capricorn sun, Capricorn rising? Again, what you see is what you get. Their authority and competence, you just immediately get that the moment you meet them. People take them seriously. Just when they walk in the room, they have that impression. They're measured, reserved, they present themselves very well. And of course, they have that ambition and their presence, it's all aligned. So again, their warmth is present, but it's private. It reveals itself more over time. You have to get to know them before you see how deep they are. They can be the most successful person in the room, and because they're Capricorn, they're the least likely to mention it. Okay, how about Capricorn sun, Sagittarius rising? So that's different. You see Sagittarius rising and you think, oh, how fun. They're very approachable. You can walk up and you think, oh, they're so adventurous. This is going to be fun hanging out with them. And that Capricorn drive is hiding behind that exterior. So at first, people think they're dealing with someone that's very free-spirited, which we know the Capricorn sun is not. They're very diligent and focused. So after they get to know them, that's when they notice that there's more going on. So the Sagittarius rising is real. They are humorous and optimistic and genuine, but also that Capricorn ambition is just as deep. So with the two, it's like they might get further faster because when you walk in, they're more approachable, and but they have long-term goals, and you may not see that end game and where they're going and all they're going to accomplish at first. All right, how about Capricorn sun with different moon signs? So Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, emotionally complex. It's a builder, Capricorn, who also deeply needs a home with that Cancer moon. Cancer's nostalgic, they crave belonging, they crave comfort and safety. So it might seem like there's this internal tension between that ambition and family devotion. But they also, that's how they nurture. They nurture for providing for their loved ones and through being present with them. And both matter equally to a Capricorn sun and a Cancer moon. So they can carry that Cancer emotional weight, but they won't show how much it costs them because that's Capricorn. So healing for them is through reconnecting with their body, through their family and their roots. All right, Capricorn sun, Aries moon. Aries, they're going to process through action. For Aries moon and Capricorn sun, that feeling and movement are the same. You can't separate them. Aries moon cuts through quickly. They don't like to sit and not understand. They want to move. So again, with an Aries moon, they can be hot-headed. Anger comes, anger goes, then it's gone. They don't hold a grudge. So how do they nurture? Well, it's Aries. They want to do something. They want to solve your problem. They want to remove obstacles. Definitely a decisive and least sentimental Capricorn moon combination, I think. So it's ambition doubled, Aries ambition, Capricorn ambition. So Capricorn sun is building, thinking long-term strategies, being responsible, and Aries moon sometimes says, okay, yes, but I need to act now. All right, so all three, when they come together, we're going to look at some different combinations. So sun, different moon, and rising combinations create entirely different and distinct humans. So let's start with Scorpio sun, Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising. Woo! All depth, all intensity, all the time. This person is not light. There's not a version of them that is. So everything they're processing emotionally is in silence. They're not going to show you what they're thinking or feeling, but when they love, and they're all in. And it can either transform another person or just consume that other person. So it's a very formidable and very private configuration with a triple Scorpio. All right, so next I have a Leo sun, Sagittarius moon, Gemini rising. Really mixing it up here. So Leo sun and Gemini rising, that's the life of the party, who is also genuinely wise. Gemini rising is keeping it quick and social. The Sagittarius moon is adding some laughter, being philosophical, and that Leo sun is just shining in that Leo way and being generous with everyone. So it's charismatic, it's expansive, and endlessly curious. All right, so what about Gemini sun, Pisces moon, and Libra rising? All right, so they would, I think, be gracious and easy to be around. That's your Libra rising. Their Pisces moon brings them great empathy, but they're also take on some of that emotion around them. And then with that Gemini sun, they're curious and they want to talk and they want to ask questions. So this would be an artistically gifted combination. But on the other flip side of things, they might be prone to people pleasing. All right, switch it up again and we'll go Pisces sun, Capricorn moon, Virgo rising. All right, so Libra, yeah, Virgo rising is that, okay, they're going to come across a calm and very competent. And then the Capricorn moon is going to be an emotionally controlled, I won't ask for help kind of feeling. And then with the Pisces sun, it's that they're inwardly dreaming, they're thinking of the future, having visions about what could really be. They're attuned spiritually. And so what you might see is a reliable, grounded person, and then you end up being surprised by the depth of their feeling. Capricorn depth and Pisces depth. All right, so Capricorn sun, Cancer moon, Scorpio rising. All right, Scorpio rising. That's what you're going to come across first when you meet him. Hard to read on that first reading. It's a Scorpio rising, serious. Cancer moon, though, inside, they're like that teddy bear there, and they are nostalgic and they're all about their family. And then Capricorn sun is that publicly their ambition comes out. They're structured, they make plans, they're very responsible. So, all in all, they're like a deeply loyal, quietly powerful, and profoundly private. So, why this changes everything? Well, when you go and read a horoscope, most of them, the popular ones that you read in a magazine, online, whatever, they're typically based on your rising sign. Most people think they're based on their sun sign. So either or, it's just one piece of the picture. So you're getting this horoscope that tells you about your day that's general for everyone, and it may or may not be really relevant to you. So when you learn about your big three, or you use it to kind of get to know someone else's chart, starting with their big three, there are some things I want you to know. Number one, that although it might appear that there's conflict between the moon and the rising and the sun, that is very normal, and it's very informative about who a person is, who you are at your core. So a Scorpio sun with a Gemini moon might feel torn between going deep or staying light. But that tension isn't a flaw. It's who you are. It's your chart shows us where integration work lives. Number two, the rising sign filters the entire chart. And I say that because your rising sign is the zodiac sign that was coming up on the eastern horizons the minute you were born. Okay, so that's the left side of your chart. That's the first house cusp. So that generally leads the way for the rest of the cups. Of course, it's not exact, because you can have an intercepted house or one house that's bigger than another, but they're going to go starting. The first house is going to start with that sign that is your rising sign on the cusp. So it's the chart ruler. So your ascendant sets the house cusps, and they all shift depending on what that rising sign is on your first house cusp. Number three, the moon reveals that private part of you that not everyone sees. It's the moon is the biggest part of you that is handled unconsciously. So understanding your moon is one of the fastest ways to improve your emotional literacy, how you communicate in your relationships, how you hold compassion for yourself and others. So knowing your big three is really important. And the fact that they might all be different or the same really says a lot about you. All right, so in finishing, your chart is a whole story, but the big three is the beginning. Once you know your sun and your moon and your rising, you start to see why you are the way you are. So I'm glad to share this class with you. And the next class is on the 27th of May. It is about Chiron entering Taurus, healing, worth, and security. So I hope I'll see you there. And until then, have a great month.